So here we are on some sort of exception type. Like main thing is though we can now see the URL that the session ID is persisted in the path. Now I am in here with my attacker hat on. Now I am looking at the exception that someone else raised. Now I am here as the attacker who has been giving a session ID ending in 758. So as in this picture you can see this, I can multiple points in here in the exception which refer to the session ID ending as 757. So that ID has been disclosed in this exception even though it was in the URL. So there is nothing useful in this cookies this time because we are not doing session persistence for the cookies, but we can see here that the URL request it is exposed, and we can see in this slide that in the down here is one of those server variables, the http underscore asp filter session ID, and this is also exposed. Now depending on the framework it will get exposed in different places, but certainly the paradigm of an exception handling framework is like Ilmar logging the path and that the exception was raised on is very similar, but it is not just exceptional. It is a log that track the path including the session ID. It happens in all sorts of other logs that are occurred just at the normal uses of this site. Even when nothing has gone wrong, let's go and take a look at the web server log that we got, and the one thing the website is generating over here, as you can see in this notepad, that it is a very typical web server log format. And if we jump here at the marking place, you can see the whole bunch of requests which include the interpath, the interpath and the path or request to, and of course we are persisting the session ID in the URL, and that session ID appears in the log files. Now this is a real problem because session IDs are sensitive data. We established that by now, and it's enough to allow the attacker to take over the victim's session. So storing them in a plain text in a log file that put some massive risk. As an example, if this like a log file is exposed anywhere, then the attacker can go through the all and recreate any of these sessions that are still active, and they can also get the sensitive data like this is also, and this is not what you want to be logging. So there are a couple of different and really basic attack factors against the session IDs and persistent in the URL. So let's go and look at the another one. There is a little bit creative, but that's when the session ID is passed in the referral to an external request. So we have just seen how easily a session ID persisted in the URL can be leaked externally. So we saw those log files, and we also saw the IIS log file, and there is another risk with the data that is persisted in the URL, and that's when an unbound request to another website sends the URL in the referring header. Let me show you what you mean by that. As you can see in this picture, I currently have a session ID. You can see in the top upper part, and the ending is 759. Now if we go to any other website from here, like this similar website like troyhunt.com, As an example, you can go to any other website. Now this is a software called Fiddler. Fiddler is a HTTP proxy tool, and it's a great for debugging of web application, because you can see all the requests that web app is making and totally independently on the browser. So as I previously said, if you go to any website from that session, then what's going on the where is that the Fiddler is going to track the raw request which are actually being sent to the target website. Now if you are not already familiar with the Fiddler, it's a very popular and a free tool, so go and check it out. You can find it in the online. So what it can do is that it goes to this website, so you can see a request appear in the fiddle and a bunch of other requests as well, which aimed with image, style sheet or any other sort of things that were in the website, and it will all go on, and most web pages there is a heap of other content loaded. So this is everything that the browser sent to this other website, to that website. And what you will see down here in this picture, that under the miscellaneous heading as is a referrer. So the referrer is the site that the user has come from, and of course as we can see here that the site is one that we are going to just go on and refer, including the interpath. So that half include the session ID by clicking on an external link while using the URL for session persistence, and my session ID is just disclosed to this other website, so it doesn't matter that it's a link to this website like Toy Hunt or any other website, it could be anything else. Following a link to this fashion will send to the entire URL, and this is exactly what sorts of things that would make the session hijacking a breeze, because the session ID is right here. We have just given it to the other website. Now this is just a nature of how the referrer request and how it works. This is what makes things look like referring Google Analytics work. You can go into any analytic portal and see where people have come from in order to get to your site. This is the whole point of this refer header, but the problem of this course or problem of this topic is that if the previous URL contained the sensitive data, then that data has now been disclosed to another independent site, which I don't have to show you what you can do with this session ID, because you can do anything if you got that session ID. So we have been here in several times. Now the point is it has now leaked, and this is how and easily lead to a session hijacking by a referrer header.